Good afternoon and welcome to Bendat Stadium here in the lovely Western Australia, host to the Australian Men's and Mixed Netball Championships. This is the Open Rounds division, continuation of round 3. We've got South Australia coming up against the home state in the West Coast Thunder. My name is Mandy Love, and joining me today is South Australia's favourite person. Drum roll, please. Oh my goodness, I did this last year with Steve as well. This is terrible. With Mark Gorham. Made you wait for it. Deservedly so. Mark, how are you today?
Very well, thanks, Mandy. Been here this morning, coaching the 17 Southern Dragons team. Back recovered and really excited to see our open men out on court. They have played the one game last night against Victoria, so that was a very well contested game. It was pretty close most of the way. Victoria running away there, but these boys are hungry and very keen to have a win out here, these nationals.
And, you know, and there's much to play for in this game. So traditionally, for those watching at home, when South Australia comes up against WA, they play for what we call the Bingham Cup. Mark, can you just run us through a bit of the history behind the Bingham Cup?
Yeah, certainly. So the Bingham Cup was established in 2018 in memory of WA's Bruce Bingham. So traditionally, it was a pre-season tournament, actually, between the open men, where I know in our first one in 2018, South Australia went to WA to play for it. And then the following year, because I know I was involved in playing that one in 2019, WA came over to South Australia. I guess post-COVID now, it's all part of the championships. So now it's whenever South Australia and WA play each other in that first round, it is for the Bingham Cup. It's not one game alone, it's an aggregate, and this year it's the 23s as well, the result of the 23s game, which will also contribute towards it.
And also the 17s, I believe, as well as the third deciding factor.
I did not know that, and
yes,
I'm the coach.
And you are the coach, so pressure is on.
That's fantastic to know. Excellent. So tomorrow morning, and that interests me because last year the 23s game was decided by a goal, and the 17s played, South Australia defeated WA by, I think, 2 and 3 goals. Last year, so going to be close games as we look like we're underway.
Yeah, Mark, do you want to run us through the starting lineup for the South Australians?
Yes, in goal shooter we've got big Matty Fowler. In goal attack, Clayton Wells. Wing attack is Tom Cross. Centre looks like we've got Travis Wood. In wing defence, Nate Wood. Goal defence, Caleb Barnden. And in goalkeeper, the man with the hair, Sam Foster.
Love the mullet down the back end with the goalkeeper bib. So Elliot Clark looking to put up his first goal for the day. And just steady on the shot is Elliot Clark in that goal attack position for the West Coast Thunder. We've got Jerome Gilbard, goal shooter. Elliot Clark, goal attack. Mitch Purser, wing attack. Centre is Jason Hurd. Wing defence, Stuart Burton. Goal defence, Dale Mather. And in the back is Dan Cools.
So as we see South Australia going forward, Matt Fowler, that huge target under the ring, with Clayton Wells finishing off the penalty for a 1-1 start. Bit of a crowd here, We do have
Huge
quite
crowd.
a few teams. Probably can't see them on the live stream, but certainly the camera side is full of commentary. As the commentary side is full of people. As we see that ball go out of court, good contest there.
And I'm not surprised by that. The West Coast Thunder off to a really good start to their Nationals campaign as Jason Hurd hits the deck under some heavy attention.
Travis Wood, the South Australian centre, will hunt. More of a natural defender, but certainly finding his way in centre. Keep an eye on him this game. If there is ball to be won, he will contest it.
And nice work by Gilbert, just screening so that there is a free penalty shot. So both defenders are out of play. And Elliot Clark, too, makes it 2-1. Wells just gives himself so much space off the transverse line, doesn't he, just to get in and great big target. And just steady.
And it's great having, this is Matt Fowler's second year. I actually play with him on a Monday night. Fantastic target to have. It's South Australia traditionally haven't had that big target. We have got tall goal shooters, but obviously, you know, as we sort of see through the grades, you know, we've seen the Junior Levis of the past, the Pat Pillets. South Australia's never been blessed with that level of height. So great to see SA doing some recruiting there.
I do remember seeing Fowler on the live stream. Fowler on the live stream last year going, wow, that's going to be really exciting in a few years to come for the Dragons.
And he's only 21, so a lot there. And you've got Wells out the front, who I believe is about 23. So quite a young quite a young attack line, and someone I'm looking forward to see, Arlen Davis, who's on the ground, on the bench, as we see Travis Wood get a turnover, quick transition.
So quick.
And there we see.
And they punish them. And, you know, this game has some real intensity about it. Like, there's such a buzz around the arena, and I think it's generated by the crowd and just what we're seeing out on court today.
Sort of staying at the accommodation with a lot of these guys. I had a chat with them a couple of nights ago. Obviously, we know sort of South Australia, had some quieter years. As we see, a fantastic tip there. Had some quieter years, but these guys are hungry. They're ready. They're primed.
Oh, Fowler comes out.
And there's a hunt from Foster. So, yeah, these guys are very keen to perform well. They've been training for a long time. Credit to them. I've never seen a team in my time put in so much work and commitment. They're a good bunch, and they're ready to see the success of the year.
And, you know, being in the Opens division, there's only 5 teams, but so everyone plays each other twice, so they're really battling for that top 4 finish. So, you know, it's a close contest this year. I've caught a couple of the Open men's games, and I honestly do not know how it's going to shape out.
I really agree, and I just sort of saw some of the score lines. I haven't seen any games, but certainly some of the score lines, and yeah, they have taken me by surprise. Sometimes some of the low scoring. Typically, we see sort of games of 60 or 70 goals. Haven't really seen that yet. So
haven't seen that blowout yet.
No, but this is certainly off to a flyer. We're 4 minutes in and already sort of 9 goals on the board on centre pass. Cross with that strong centre pass receive.
And Wells on the transverse line. Who's he going to connect to? And look, left alone at the back there. It's Clayton Wells. He's definitely crafty in that shooting circle.
Very crafty.
And just strong in the body around the shoulders too, so he can sort of really hold his space really well. Yeah,
Wells has been in, I guess, the netball system for a while. Was a great junior, made an Australian team, I believe, in 2018. Was in a 20 and under team, and certainly, has been identified early. So I remember sort of his first nationals. He was, I think, 17, playing in the under 23s division in 2016 in Melbourne. As we see a rare turnover in attack for WA.
Yeah, probably a bit too much on the pass and just went through the bread bucket of Jerome Gilbard. Don't think you'll see that twice in a row, though.
There is a matchup that I haven't seen a lot of out here for South Australia. Nate Wood in wing defence. Normally plays sort of a goalkeeper, goal defence role. And certainly Sam Foster, the goalkeeper. I know Wood and Foster have play in the circle together on a Monday night in our men's league. So a bit surprised to see Wood out. However, Barndon is also very well connected with those guys and has had a fair bit of time playing with them all as well.
And Clayton Wells just getting himself closer to the post. And he can't leave someone like Wells loose. You know, he's going to score from mid-range. Like, that's his bread and butter. Like, you know, you can't be drawn to the tall target that the Dragons have in Fowler.
But it's such a fantastic release to be a goal attack and play with a target there, because as we see that cross-court lateral ball being picked off, they need to work hard here. Did step on there, but it did work out. As we see Purser feed Gilbard. Love watching Jerome play. Just think he's just so smart and crafty. And
I really enjoy having Elliot Clark out in front of Jerome Gilbard. He's obviously come from the 23s pathway, so he was in the Open Men's last year. Just a real traditional goal attack role, running the arc along the baseline. Those are his favourites. But in the earlier 2 rounds, I've actually had Dylan McPherson running in that goal attack, and he is just so quick and just offers that real dynamic sort of speed off the line on a centre pass.
It's funny you say that about Dylan, because I do remember in 2016 the AMMNA Nationals in Melbourne, as we see a contest there, and Wood gets it. Wood cleans up on that ball with Gilbard. But back to McPherson, when I saw South Australia and WA play in 2016, he was the goal attack for WA, and then next year saw him in sort of those mid-court positions. But great to see some flexibility there.
Yeah, did had a bit of a heavy landing in last night's game onto the left ankle, so hopefully nothing too serious, and hopefully we see him back out on court today. He is their captain this year, so big things expected from him.
Fantastic. As we see Fowler putting down another one. We have South Australia who have broken a centre pass here.
Yeah, can they make it too? And there's the open player free.
A nice fake by Travis Wood. I think
And just the contact call against Mather.
Are there any connections out here, Mandy, with WA and your, I guess, Wannell Men's League, that any players that connect here that you're looking forward to seeing?
Absolutely. So the back three, the defensive three at the moment, actually come from the same club.
Okay.
Have done for the past couple of years. I know that Dale Mather has moved clubs this year.
Yep.
But yeah, so they've got a well-known defensive combination. And a lot of these guys have actually played in open men's for the last few years. So, like, it's an established... They all work together. They all sort of, like, train together. So, they're all against the West Coast Fever, who have been a great supporter of the men's program.
Yep.
So, yeah, for me, this is about... They've got established connections across the park, whoever they get on court. Fantastic
swing there after a Wells drive, and he finishes... It is fantastic, and you make a point there. Certainly the ability of the men to train with the Suncorp Super Netball teams. I know the Thunderbirds were doing weekly trainings at one point with our boys and doing match play. I assume the same would be happening, and I know Dan Ryan, the coach of the Fever, when he was sort of in Adelaide, was a big fan of the men's, obviously with that men's background himself. I'm sure he wasn't the first to do it, but certainly used the men a lot.
And it's just about getting that exposure and actually that acknowledgement as well. So, like, here in the West, we actually proudly promote the fact that we've got 4 open men's players as West Coast Fever training partners.
Yep.
So they're the likes of GK Dan Cools, Jerome Gilbert in goal shooter, Draven Lee Todor, who's yet to take the court today, and obviously Dylan McPherson.
Yep.
So, yeah, and they celebrate all the wins as well. So part of all the sort of celebratory success from last year's Suncorp Super Netball win.
Fantastic. As we see West Coast...
Here's the break back.
Turnover.
And replay ball against Elliot Clark, yeah.
Bounce passes. How do we feel? How do we feel as a coach?
Hate them. Like them into the circle. In general court play, not a fan.
Yep. I feel like that's a pretty consistent theme amongst coaches.
Steve McInnes told me yesterday that he actually threw one in his game.
Exactly who I had in mind.
He was very disgusted in himself.
Exactly who I had in mind.
And Jason Hurd steps into the centre circle. And just going right through the middle. And here comes that front cut. Would like to see Jerome Gilbert just like peel out.
Yep.
And roll off. There it is. And just opens up Clark really nicely.
And as soon as... that's a bit close by Sam Foster, but good pressure over the shot. As we see a penalty given away under the post, so we can... Pretty easy shot by Clark standards.
Yeah.
And it's still South Australia 10-9 here with the break of centre pass. So Tom Cross doing really well to get out on those centre passes.
And works it to circle edge. Wells straight into Fowler.
Great vision for the post.
And as we go and we play continue, so we've got players out of play. Mather on the transverse line. Purser with the ball in hand. Clark's wide. Just playing it short. They're in no rush to sort of throw away like the long balls. Oh. And just on cue. You know, this has happened to me every single game.
I just saw it happening.
Every time it happens.
So we've got play held here with about 4 minutes 10 on the clock. 11-9. You did mention the bench for Western Australia. Have you seen many of their games? Is Lee Tarua, is this a rest at the moment?
He has played, like, the first 2 games were full games for him. They do rotate him on and off. But yeah, this is probably his first time on the Pine starting.
Just that last play between Clark and Gilbert, the little shooter-to-shooter pass is fantastic.
And he's such a strong target, just strong in body, knows his positioning, protects his space, and just rips the ball. He's fantastic to watch.
And he's come so... as we see the ball go through the hands of Clark, and it's another Dragons turnover. He's improved a lot. Only played 13 months of netball, obviously a bit of a basketball background.
Okay, that explains how he posts. Okay, that explains a lot.
So he was found probably 6 to 8 weeks before last Nationals, I believe. Learnt his craft a bit. As we see Stuart Burton getting a touch in there, which which causes the turnover. But yeah, so he's 13 months. His balance has improved. Like I said, I play with Fowler on a Monday night and have played for the last 2 seasons. And yeah, just improving as we go. So had a great game, I heard, against Victoria. Didn't see it, but that was certainly the feedback.
So Lee Totoa comes on in that goal attack
right
role.
cue.
Yep. So he's played defence though for the first 2 games. So very crafty with the ball in hand. And he's just got this, like,
there's a
pace.
There's a little dinky shooter to shooter. I'm going to mention someone back home. Reece Turner would be very proud of that. Another fellow shooter who quite enjoys those passes.
And Wall set up across the transverse line. They come back into a box-like formation. And Lee Totoa holds his line. Does enough to get the ball back and played on quickly by Mather. And here's the steady.
Oh.
And he'll drive to the post and finished.
I really like the ability of WA, and I've always liked it about Jerome, but the ability for the shooters to use each other like that. It's so typical. We see the refeed to a mid-quarter, which is natural, and probably what we see a lot of in the women's game. Or you cannot go over the top of Nate Wood. Give him a chance. He's got an exceptionally great vertical. South Australia just stuck on this sideline a bit. But yes, going back to what I was saying, the ability to sort of use the 2 shooters as passes and refeeds, fantastic.
Yeah, and the ability from like the traditional 12s to create for the goal attack, the role reversal in the shooting circle is really impressive.
As we see crossfeed another one into Fowler, who's that strong target at the post.
Yeah, so 13 plays 12. Everyone's not willing to get the ball back. Anyone willing to give up positioning? Oh, good hands from Burton and backed up by Lee Totoa. So he'll work his way all the way down. He likes to carry the ball, so he likes to have every sort of couple of touches in. And look at that spin roll. That's a lot of action going on for no reward without the ball.
I was about to say, I don't think he was sighted once there. As we see, just the penalty being set, Purser at the end.
And the contact call, yeah, on the hip.
You're a bit of a flogging to nothing there as a goalkeeper when it's 2-1 and you've got the target behind you and you're stuck in the middle.
I always find it to credit when they actually offload it, because I'm like, you could have just shot it. You had a free attempt at a goal, and long ball in from Lee Totoa.
And goal. So all of a sudden, in a flash, WA have taken the lead, and we're back on centre passes. So about 26 seconds left. Can SA score this centre pass to keep it on centre passes? Penalty called as cross looks.
You'd like them to have a bit of game awareness, knowing that there's only sort of 20 seconds left on the clock. And Welsh is short, yep. And there's the hustle from the West Coast Thunder lads. Wide to Burton, no one coming through. Cools collects. And called all the way back, and I think that's going to be the quarter, because they're not going to be able to get that unless it's a quick tap off.
And there's our time. So first quarter, 14-13 to Western Australia. Tight contest to begin.
Really tight contest. I think there's going to be some really tactical sort of substitutions made throughout the game. And I think stay with us. We're only 15 minutes in, and it's a really interesting battle. So don't go anywhere and stay with us after this. Forte Physiotherapy has been providing physiotherapy services and rehabilitation services for the West Coast Thunder since inception. We are a proud sponsor of this athlete group and look after many athletes and general population in the clinic. If you have an injury or chronic pain, see the professionals at Forte Physiotherapy. You can book an appointment online at www.fortephysio.com.
And welcome back to the Bendet Basketball Stadium here in Perth. My name is Mark Gorham. Joining me is Mandy Love as we have a Open Men's Bingham Cup game being played between South Australia and Western Australia. Western Australia currently 14-13 up on their centre pass. It has been a tight contest. Just looking across, doesn't look like we're going to see a change from South Australia. I'm not sure yet as we rejoin, as they leave their huddles, if we've had a change from Western Australia.
No changes currently, so keeping the same 7.
And we're just waiting for umpires here to hand the ball over. So this, for me, will be a telling quarter for South Australia. They know, and speaking to some of the guys, they are looking for that 60-minute consistent effort. They've done well so far, but we want to see them push through, and they'll be expecting that of themselves as well.
Look, something that West Coast Thunder did very well last night against New South Wales is that they contained New South Wales to 6 goals in the second quarter. So it was a massive full-court defensive pressure,
Yep.
And they were rewarded by it. And that's where they literally won the game, was in that moment.
And a nice high arcing shot by Turua. Takes us out to 15-13. I mean, 14-13 at quarter time. That's we're on track for a 50 goals game if you go by, if that standard. As we see a turnover, perhaps an offside call there, as we see Burton to Hurd using to Mather, back to Burton. Stuck a bit in the midcourt, Cross almost getting his hands to that, but now they're through.
Well, there's a patient build-up and the vision from Burton, you know, like sighted Dravenly Totoa, but went long to Gilbard. Great feed.
And just some patience there to always sight the post, regardless of what position you are, defender or attacker. Foster coming out for a hunt.
Yeah,
and
I like
is a
that.
South Australian ball.
Love that. I thought that was well done. Gave himself space. You know, I think Lee Toto was expecting a contact call. Now he'll know and adjust.
And that was, if that didn't happen, we'd be seeing a WA goal because that left Jerome at the post. So well done by Sam getting his timing right there. Close to a held ball there by Barndon. Going a long cross court, and now we're into the middle third. Wood in the middle, looks wide. Now we're crossing the court again into Wells.
And offensive contact call. Burton doing a great job. Sort of went for the hunt early on the second transfer line, got back to circle edge and drew the contact. It was a smart play.
Another contest we're looking forward to seeing, because we know Burton has had some time there in the Australian team. Tom Cross has been in this Opens team probably the longest from mind. Tom Cross and Travis Wood probably have been consistently in this team over the last 4 or 5 years. So a great little battle there. Similar ages.
Yeah, and what I really enjoy about Stuart Burton's game is that he's a real shutdown wing defender, but he adapts between the space marking and that tight man-on-man marking very well.
Right. See a contact call. Wells wanting to get on with it quickly, but the penalty must be set. So I really want to see South Australia score here. We don't want it to blow out or allow WA to have a quick run on. This is something they've worked on, they've talked about as a group, I believe.
And you see the pulley system by the 2 circle defenders there as Matthew gets a stuffed ball.
And big hands over there. And look at that ball fly. We're just parking the bus a little bit here as we go back to go forward with patience and control. And look at that,
And
straight to the post.
the elevation from Lee Totoa too.
Just goes to show you don't get it out of defence your targets.
And look at the speed of which the ball is going down court, and Lee Torda left alone at the post.
Barnden caught a bit behind Tarua there. Obviously his speed is his strength, but this is where South Australia must dig in. And we've seen a oh, there's the hunt.
And nicely done. Like they made sure that it couldn't have been really. That could have been a really bad collision, and they just made sure that they both had safe landings.
Absolutely, and that's the ball Nate Wood has got to go for. That's his strength, his elevation, and we've seen the last couple. As we see a nice high arcing shot, we've seen the last couple of balls fly down, and we've looked for that long ball over the transverse. That is Nate Wood's bread and butter. So good to see him contesting.
And this is where I think with West Coast Thunder, like, they want to do these long passes, which is great because it's working right now. So obviously, why would you not continue to do so? But when you start getting the defenders hunting and looking at things, then maybe just switch it up a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, now I'm seeing Tom Cross step into as a long feed by Giretto. Well done. As we hit Fowler and a South Australian goal. So I'm seeing Tom Cross in the substitution box. So just making a change now with Travis Wood. And great hand there by Sam Foster.
And this is an opportunity for the Dragons to bring it back.
So there's one back.
One back.
So it was out to 8 at one point. Now we're back to 6 on the Dragon centre pass. Oh,
Coach killer.
Absolutely. So when a wing defence breaks, or a goal defence, not sure which one, on your centre pass, that just should not be happening. Not at this level.
That's really changed the momentum of this game.
And at an opens level, that just cannot happen. So I thought this might have happened. We've got Travis Wood going into wing defence, Nate Wood off. Now, I would argue this is Travis Wood's probably best position. He's a dogged defender as he gives away that contact, but has an exceptional read of the ball and will fly at anything as well. So Travis into wing defence. Let's see if that makes a difference. As I say that, Nate Wood, who has come off, is now putting on a goal defence bib. So we might see Nate Wood in goal defence shortly, just having a drink as we're back on play. Another offensive contact here, given away by Tom Cross. So we're approaching halfway through here.
And it's about just finding the pockets, like just finding the pockets of space where you can be dominant. And
just as we see Hurd into the pocket on cue. You have a coach or something?
No. And missed shot by Lee Todor. So Dragons have got to get up, and Lee Todor just gets his own.
And I said before, you can't go over Nate Wood. Well, you can't go over Lee Todor.
No. His defensive prowess is second to none.
And all of a sudden, I think alarm bells are ringing here. We need to see a response here from Southern Dragons, because all of a sudden, after a hightly contested, Wells getting a hand in, and Giretto having a flyer, just off a bit with timing. But as I said, we're now 9 goals on a WA centre pass. We must stem the flow here.
For me, though, I think the Dragons just need to convert their own centre pass conversions.
Absolutely.
Like at the moment, they're just not rewarding the ball. Like they're getting a lot of ball at the moment, but they're just not utilising or converting it down the other end. Like these, like simple things like offensive contacts. Like that's just, we need to like minimise the unforced error rate.
Absolutely.
And Lee Todor gets a slap on the ball. And here's where like I'd like to see them go for it.
Foster. Oh, a bit late, deemed by the umpire.
It was a late call.
It was late.
Had a good look at it though.
So now Nate Wood must move those feet. It's probably the hardest job in netball when you're one out with Jerome Gilbert under the post. And as we see, out to 10 now.
And I don't think there's too much in terms of panic stations. It's more about let's convert ours, let's attack theirs. Like you've got to go in with that mentality, because if you start going gun shy with your attack end, that's how it sort of blows out to 15, 20 goal margins.
Absolutely. And the game, I guess, from here doesn't need to be won in 5 minutes.
No.
They've still got 2 quarters to work this back, but need to stay in touch and need to feel like they're still in this game for their own morale. As we see another substitution by South Australia, so Wells to the bench and Arlen Davis into goal attack. So love to see what Arlen can bring.
I'd like to see Sam Foster just take some discipline now. He's been out for a couple. The contest on the round circle edge, I don't mind, but just underneath the post, no second shot should be given to this West Coast Thunder team.
Absolutely, and we sort of see Foster love him, and I think he's a great keeper. Arguably a little bit undersized, but sometimes as the game goes on, he does swap that ball out. He's certainly done it to me a few times, generally out of frustration. It's probably the most frustrating position, goalkeeper. But yeah, needs to rein it in at this point.
And it is when the ball's coming back at you constantly, so you can understand why, because he feels like he's trying his utmost, and it's not happening for him. But in actual fact, he's actually doing a really good job. And
he's a couple of touches on Jerome, momentum-wise, would mean a lot for this team, as we see through bat the ball once, which you are allowed to do, and shuffle back to the post.
And just smart play as they maintain this 10-goal margin.
Absolutely. So watch the speed on Davis, only 19, played, was in the 20s Australian team.
And touching on the net, or was it a contact call against Fowler?
But
really nice to see Dylan McPherson out on court in that centre position. Looked for him to bring the energy for this Thunder team.
Yeah. Foster trying there and to come out, but good contest by Cross on McPherson, and we see the backspace and a fantastic split there under the post for another goal. We've got 5 minutes remaining in this second quarter. West Coast Thunder 29, Southern Dragons 19. Noticed a lot of the Dragons centre passes are being received out wide. So just some basics there about prelimming out and coming into that middle channel.
Or even starting out wide and coming in and cutting in.
Absolutely. So fronts. So watch Davis to cut the front space. That's his game, and he will shoot long. Like I was saying before, only 19, so some fantastic experience here for him to be playing open men so early. Country boy.
I love that you get access to the regional athletes as well.
Absolutely, and coming down, was only playing 17s 2 years ago in my 17s team, and now committed. Took a gap here from school, as we see a turnover there from Purser, just not reeling that one in. But yeah, Davis taking a gap here, and 18 months later he's still pursuing his netball, and he finds himself in an open men's team. So
that's incredible.
Great dedication.
That's a great story too, as promotion for the Dragons program.
Absolutely, and when he was sort of in my team, I know he was, or just after my team, he was driving down.
Fowler, how did he collect that? That was beautiful.
And we've seen that centre pass break, so there we go. Down looking for that give and go. Reset.
Oh, nice
back.
deception, and they missed him.
Oh. Just a miscued pass there, and it's a turnover. So this would have been a really good centre pass to convert, given they've just broken at West Coast.
Yes. And this is what I talk about with the Dragons. Like, they are totally in this game.
Yep.
They've just got to convert their centre passes.
Would love to see some mid-court, just up that mid-court pressure from the Dragons. At the moment, when there's a turnover, it is flying through that mid-court. It's over halfway in two passes, so just need to slow down.
And something that I noticed that they do go deep and long straight away. Like, they don't look for these 2 or 3 passes to get down to the next transverse.
Yep.
They go direct.
Oh, and that's the elevation from Nate Wood.
So McPherson will have a free pass outside.
2-on-1 here, and a screener set behind. And convert. So we're back out to this 10-goal buffer. South Australian centre pass to follow.
It's almost like the Dragons chip one back, and then they release the pressure on their centre pass.
Yep, and there's a hunt. And Daniel Cool's coming out for that one. That was telegraphed. Just a bit too much air. Just staying on that sideline. It was received on that sideline, and the pass went there. A bit predictable.
Lee Totoa needs to look and find someone to connect to. Offloads to Gilbard. And that left-hand shot goes in through the goal circle. Nope.
As we see Purser receive to Mather. Gilbard out the circle. And I feel like when Gilbard comes out the circle, normally you say your big shooters stay in, but it just creates all types of confusion.
Well,
for the opposition.
What I really enjoy about Gilbard's game, though, is that he is not just a traditional a traditional holder.
Absolutely.
He's got such an agility to his game and court craft that, like, I'm actually waiting for the combination of him in goal attack and Matty Brown in goal shooter.
I agree, and we see Nate Wood absolutely spray one over the baseline there, just needing to take some patience through the court there.
And I think they'll be, just resetting the penalty.
Yeah.
Would like to see just the Dragons just bring some composure back into their game. They had such a great start in the first quarter, and it's like they've come out of the break just really, like, not really the same intensity, and it's quite sad because it was so strong.
I'm sure Brian Lyons, head coach here, who's been sort of the head coach of our Dragons program now for 3 or 4 years, will address that at half-time with his assistant, Judy Greenwood.
So tell me about your coaching staff, Mark, because I know that there is a huge experience in terms of South Australian netball history amongst your coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Brian Lyons there, who's the head coach. So former Southern Force coach in the old A&L days. Oh, close to the post. Not quite by Matt Fowler. So Brian Lyons has coached the Southern Force. I believe he's coached a number of state underage teams. I believe back in the day when the 21s was a state grade coach, state grade at Nationals. He coached to a gold medal there. Some familiar names in that team: Hannah Petty, Adelaide Thunderbirds captain, I believe. And then we've got Judy Greenwood, who has been the assistant coach for the Thunderbirds in their premiership winning year in 2013. So the experience they bring all the way through is fantastic and really added to the program.
And what a fantastic display by the West Coast Thunder here in the second quarter as they lead 36 goals to 21. Don't go anywhere. We've got 30 minutes of netball left to play. Do we see Matty Brown take the court in this Bingham Cup match? Stay with us to find out.
Having a pretty good season this year, Andy.
By the look of this lot, you are too.
Well, we've got a good team out in the field. You want to go meet them?
Sure. So what do you grow here?
We've got broccolis, collies over there, carrots, you name it. We harvest it today, catch, and it's in the stores tomorrow.
So you guys are the midfielders of the fruit and veg?
At Spot Shed, we grow it.
We sell it, you save.
Giving this season everything we've got. Just try and stop us. Don't miss the excitement of West Coast Fever at RAC Arena. Tickets on sale now at ticketek.com.au. Giving this season everything we've got. Just try and stop us. Don't miss the excitement of West Coast Fever at RAC Arena. Tickets on sale now at ticketek.com.au.
Welcome back to Bendat Stadium here in Perth. We've got the Open Men's Division. It's round 3. Fighting for the Bingham Cup is Western Australia up against the South Australian Dragons. WA leading 36-21. My name is Mandy Love and joining me is Mark Gorman. Mark, thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, it was a tightly contested first quarter, but WA, I believe, obviously pulled away. I just found the transition through that mid-court way too easy, and that's why we're sort of seeing a 15-goal, now 16-goal margin as your mate Matt Brown scores the first goal.
Really excited to see him take the court. We've only seen him for a few minutes in either of the first 2 games, so he's just such a good, versatile player to bring on in the back end of the tournament, and I know we're only day 2.
Fantastic.
But it gives something else for the defenders to think about.
Absolutely. Is that the only change we see for WA, Mandy?
No, it looks like
Sorry
Jason
to put you on the
Hurd.
spot.
No, that's okay. It looks like Jason Hurd's moved to wing attack. So, no, they've all pretty much stayed the same.
Fantastic. So we've seen a couple of changes here from South Australia. So Matt Fowler still in goal shooter. Arlen Davis still in goal attack. We've seen Clayton Wells come into the wing attack position. As we see a contest with Gray on McPherson. But Dion Giorgetto has moved into centre. So Winks Travis Wood, so stays there. Sam Foster out into goal defence, and we see our debutant actually for South Australia. So we've got Fergus Gray into goalkeeper. So as we see a nice feed into Matt Brown who shoots that. South Australia's goalkeeper making his debut, Fergus Gray. So again,
what a baptism of fire against the likes of Matty Brown.
Yeah, and first time trialling for Dragons, and watch his elevation. Can see why he's gone in there. Offers a bit like what I was talking about with Matt Fowler. Hasn't played netball, has played a bit of social mix, but beyond that, in this environment, this is his first year, so has got some real natural athletic ability. So we'll watch for that. As we see Wells sight Fowler under the post.
And I like this change with Clayton Wells in at wing attack. I think he just offers that nice, steady, cool head down the front line.
Absolutely, and very smart player.
Oh, that's another person that's falling on the decals.
We won't talk about them being from South Australia, given the events of Suncorp Super Netball a week ago. But never mind.
But we will talk about the amazing support that your supporters had during that moment.
It was good. It was a light show, I'm told. Some of these boys on court were actually there, and yeah, there was a light show put on with a power outage. And anyway, hopefully that won't be happening here at the Bendat Basketball Stadium.
No. If it makes you feel better, there was a potential double centre pass earlier in a Victorian game.
Oh. We won't talk about centre passes
No.
with Victoria then.
So
Don't talk about
touche.
decals in South Australia and double centre passes with Victoria. As we see Tarua, lovely shot, nothing but net. So we see this lead skip away to 18. Time is held for a ball on the other court from the 17 and under game.
And you see all the West Coast Thunder defenders sort of like lining up on the inside. They want to force the ball wide.
Good cut and drive there by Wells.
And
Looked
nicely
straight
done.
away.
Oh, offensive contact.
It's called.
So obviously using use of the forearm, so it's not a natural position. So he's just got to find another way to position himself, even if he has to drop the inside arm and just go lead with the other forearm maybe.
Yeah, and that basketball background, I find it's a common occurrence with basketball as new to the game. As we see Gray up to contest. Yeah, that offensive contact given away by basketballers, and certainly even at a junior level when you train.
Oh, a nice little touch pass from Lee Todua.
Fantastic awareness.
So Dragons really need to try and stay with this, and great intercept from the debutant.
As we see to Giretto, who clears out. Western Australia doing a fantastic job of blocking the middle corridor here. You see South Australia, everything's hard, everything's a number of passes going all the way back, and that's a held ball. That middle corridor is completely clogged on most transitions there, forcing them to go wide, and that's where we see these held balls or these forced passes that are intercepted.
But then you get the hedging as well, so they set up in the space, but they're also contesting. If they're not going to get it cleanly, they go right to the body, and then they pull out just at the end.
So we see Matt Brown score another. So lead out to 20 here. And we see a deep drive by Davis. Would like to see Davis. Would like to. Oh, there's that front cut. Could have been given.
It, yeah.
And a mistimed
But like
feed.
Fowler wasn't even ready for that ball either. Like that's not on Fowler. That's on the feeders.
I would like to see Davis turn and just sight the post there. As we said, Travis Wood contest, but just half a second off there. And we see an obstruction call.
Matty Brown just so incredibly smart with his body positioning on court.
So I've got Lee Tarua on 1 miss for the game.
Yes, I believe he has as well.
And I might add, his shooting range is anywhere in that circle.
Oh, great work from Foster.
Sees that, but McPherson spills up. But as I was saying, Lee Tarua, this is probably a closer mid-range shot. Lovely high arcing.
And he got the walk back too. Knew that it was going in the moment it released its fingertips.
Hand stays up. And here we go, 2 on the side. What have we got here? That was an obstruction call, maybe.
Need to see the hips rotating all the way around so he can look down court.
Yeah.
Better.
Front option. And Davis putting his first shot up. Oh.
Just rushed that, like really shot on the first second there. Like, yes, there's a little bit of a height mismatch, but, you know, you can utilise that by going through your shot technique as per normal. Matty Brown at the back end for the Thunder. Missed shot. He'll get a second attempt.
So if my calculations are correct, because I don't think Gilbard missed a shot, we're looking at a team who have shot 45 from 47.
Mm-hmm. I think he'd be pretty close to accurate on that one.
You see, swing ball. Oh, well done, Giretto. Just gone offside there.
And looks like Robert King enters the fray in at goal defence for West Coast Thunder.
Oh,
it's
just those 50-50 balls. It's
just falling the way of the home state and West Coast Thunder, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And of course, they'll take an opportunity to have a crack at it.
So we've seen a change in South Australia's wing attack position. We've seen Clayton Wells go off for Tom Cross.
And that was a great attempt from Robert King.
And in doing so, we've seen Travis Wood come off from the wing defence position, and captain Ben Slade enters the game.
And
nice double jump. And Davis is off his shot. That's 0 from 2.
Did you see the way McPherson flicked it behind his head to connect with Burton to get the long court transition? That is some serious skill.
Shows a team that's been connected and playing for a while and just understands each other, as we're very aware this WA team has.
And just reading those body cues, though, as well. There's a couple of misses there, so he did put the mocker on him. And that's 2 in a row.
I wonder if we picked up his language, because he let everyone know in the stadium his thoughts on that air ball. And an offensive contact given there. Well done by Foster, fighting away there.
Really hard ask in that defensive circle for the Dragons, especially against their opposition, but they're doing a really good job, and these small wins here must be converted.
South Australian attack, finding a nice front space there and refeed by Davis to Giretto. And
just short on the shot, but lovely that Fowler's underneath to collect and put it back through the ring.
Absolutely, and right now we are seeing Jordan Goggins enter the game in goal shooter, Matt Fowler having a rest. So I'm really looking forward to this. Goggins has been a teammate of mine in a number of the years. Him and Davis play together in our Monday night M League and have an awesome connection. another one from a basketball background, but is able to play the holding game and can
and you can see
move
the
as
set.
well.
You saw the set there with the arm.
I've put the mock. They can connect like they do on a Monday night back in South Australia, because they are a nightmare to play against.
And Foster just interrupting and getting in the way. Looks like Dan Cools is coming off from the GK position and Dal Mather coming on board.
So we see this outside. And great hand then there by Gray.
Just a bit casual there with the...
And there we see Slade driving through the mid-court. So I think that's the first time in a while I've seen South Australia transition through that middle corridor. Unfortunately, they've turned the ball over here.
Unforced errors.
Just need to take a breath in attack as we see Giorgetto rolled off from the game and Travis Wood back into the centre position. Coach Brian Lyons maybe just looking for...
He's looking for answers or a response.
And certainly by Travis Wood going in there, we're thinking we need to put... Because, you know, Travis is an awesome defensive player, so maybe a bit more defensive pressure hoping to be applied.
Contact wing defence. See him just riding on the inside shoulder of Jason Hurd. Oh, Matty Brown gets up. Had all the time in the world to score that one.
We're out to 26 goals, so this is not what the Dragons would have had in mind, as we see the Davis connection to Goggins. So
especially after the brilliant first quarter that they had as well. Like, that was some really solid netball. So I think if anything, they need to go back to see what happened in the second quarter to their detriment and like work on so that they can take away and build that into the next game.
Absolutely.
Oh, Lee Totoa, great on defence, and it would become an assist almost. Much like
it's turning into a bit of a training drill there, because that almost shouldn't be happening out of a baseline throw-in. We need to get our structures sorted.
But there was only one option available to him as
Yes.
well, so there's got to be multiple options happening, with probably a centre near the transverse line just to pop in just in case.
And there we see a bit more of a moving circle here, and Davis is just off his shot at the
Yeah,
moment.
he's just
needs to take
gone
a breath.
cold for the last couple of minutes. But I think that's the pressure of doing all that work out the front, outside the circle, and then he's got to then turn around and go, oh, I now have to shoot.
Absolutely.
And that's some immense attention he's getting from, oh, Jesus, that looked hard. Heavy contact.
Both players okay and up.
You could see both.
And he'll contest the ball hard, but he's a very fair player in that nothing will be malicious, and you just see him giving Lee Through just a tap on the back to say, sorry, mate.
Well, the thing is, though, is that they both saw the ball from a different angle, so it was just the way they collided because they were twisting each other's bodies around each other.
So, no malice in that.
It wouldn't surprise me if he came off for a spell, just knowing that the scoreline is what it is and being part of an integral member.
Funny you say that, because I do see Clark way out of action, putting goal attack bib on in the corner. We see that pocket swing ball to Hurd, Tarua on the drive, slicing that baseline.
Probably didn't leave himself enough space along the baseline, which is why he had to go back out to the circle edge.
And we see Foster just holding his chin there, may have just copped a contest, but Foster will fight on. You won't see Foster come off unless he has to. We see a contact call there. So let's see the Dragons get some depth here, and right on cue they did. All right, we see Davis cutting front, refeeding. Contact call on Mather.
For me, I would, if I was him, being the shorter player in the shooting circle, you've got to really draw that contact. So you've got to absorb that hit, take that contact on, and wait for that penalty. If it arrives, then you get the free shot.
Absolutely. I'm hoping he gets some confidence, especially playing with Goggins. That, like I said, that is a known combination back home, and they do feel comfortable playing with each other. As we see a forced error over the baseline. So let's have another look at this baseline throw in.
So they go wide, looking to centre it. All running into the same spot, but that's okay though, because they were able to identify it and someone pulled out. So some lateral leads.
And there's Foster driving through the middle. Now we're good.
And nice play on. Oh, wish they'd played on.
Oh no, he's called it back. So Foster here. Let's see what we can do.
And got to look in because they had a 2-on-1. Yep.
Now,
And he's that's 2 from 2 now. So finding his rhythm. Can he make it a third?
so cross over that line, going back to Slade. Still not on circle edge, but lovely. There's the triangle.
Brilliant feed.
And now that's starting to settle a little bit down there. So 52 WA, 27 to South Australia, 2 minutes 20 to go.
So I think after all the tinkering in terms of positional changes, I think now we need to just settle here and just let them build into this last 2 minutes of the quarter.
Absolutely. You see the front option available, and I'm not sure if we saw that, but Lee threw it off for Clark, who's back on, and sinks that goal.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that change.
Just seems so much easier to get the ball down. A lot less passes there for WA. Oh, and we see a miscommunication off that centre pass with a turnover. So already the ball flying and straight in.
Clark would have made sure he's sprayed some sticky hands on his hands on the time on the pine. Make sure he collects that passes. He gave away 2 turnovers in his time earlier on in the match. He'll want to rectify that with some big minutes here.
I just watched McPherson. You can just see he's constantly assessing, constantly seeing the space, ensuring, and we see a part rejection, but it falls back into Brown's hands and he converts that.
Yeah, Dylan's decision making, like in flight at full speed, is really amazing to watch. Like for those, being a netballer, there are multiple things that can go down. As Rob King gets a touch to it.
You see a contact call.
Oh no, goes the way of the West Coast Thunder.
I'm not sure if I saw it that way. I felt like Cross maybe got his hands into it. Maybe his body position was not as upright as King. So from the umpire's angle, that was the call. But
has nothing to do with the red shirt that you're wearing at all, does it?
Not at all. But there was a bit of surprise on court and through the stadium. But no, that's it. That was the umpire's call. We move on. And hands up. So I've got a saying: the ball always knows. And maybe we just saw it. But play on. To be fair, that's the first. I haven't noticed the umpires in a bad way. So our 2 officials here have done a fantastic job.
Absolutely, and look how quick this third quarter has gone. We're already into our last minute of play here. Brown doesn't want to take the goal.
And well done to cover that outlet pass. Sort of Slade and Wood squeezing in those circle middies just to.
Maybe they're just identifying where they can sort of attack now from a defensive perspective.
We're seeing Goggins come out a lot and just release that little bit, which is great. Oh, predictable.
Rob
Davis
King.
just needs to turn and look at the post. He was always going there with his body angle and the way his hips were positioned. So it's the second time I've called him on that. He'll give me a bit of stick later, but face your post, Arlen.
Can they
I've taught you enough over the years.
Long ball from McPherson to Clark. And gets the goal towards the back end.
So we're going to see Travis Wood not having the awareness to hold on to that. That was under 3 seconds, Travi. But that's okay. 56-28 as we enter three-quarter time.
Yeah, definitely learning experience from that, so for next time. But yeah, so very interesting match. Looks like West Coast Thunder really just using the unforced errors from the Dragons to their favour to extend this lead out to 56 goals to 28. We've got 15 minutes of play left in this opened division round game. It's round number 3. Don't go anywhere and join us back here at Bendat Stadium shortly.
And welcome back to the Bendat Basketball Stadium here in Perth. We have got our Bingham Cup game in the Open Men's Division. South Australia 28 trailing Western Australia 56 as we see play back on. So a few changes here for, a couple of changes I should say, for Western Australia. Looks like we've got a different wing attack there.
Yeah, so this is Connor Rawlings. So this is his first year in the Opens division. So he played in the first 2 games, has a great speed and has a really great connection with Dylan McPherson. They play in the same club team together at the domestic level. And also has a background with Elliot Clark in the 23s for the previous 2 years as Jason Hurd comes through and strong on the take as they go quickly.
Now I remember Rawlings, nice delay there to get that feed over the top. Now I remember Rawlings coming over with the WA Opens team as I guess a bit of a training partner, if you like, for the Bingham Cup game in Adelaide in 2019 when we played against them. So good to see him earn his spot in the Opens.
Yeah, you know, he also aged out from the 23s as well.
Right.
And he was rewarded by his hard work and efforts on the netball court to be awarded a place in this Opens team.
Yep. So we don't see any changes from South Australia. So the South Australian coaching team taking on your advice of just letting it settle. I did feel like there was a bit of settle, especially in this attack end. There was a bit of connection, though we see a turnover there by King. However, ball going out of court, so Slade will get the ball now to Foster. We're going wide, and that is we're going from wide channel to wide channel. Very predictable, very readable, and we saw a deflection there off cross. So a Western Australian ball. As just in front of us, I see Giretto with the wing attack bib on, it looks like.
Yes, I think it is the wing attack bib.
So expect a change there between Giretto and Cross.
I must admit, I am getting not a little lost, but like there is a lot of changes from the South Australian Dragons, and that's a lot coming from me. I actually love exposing the substitution rules, but I feel like sometimes you just need to allow just that, 2 minutes or 3 minutes just to let them gel into the new rhythm with the new people in the positions.
Yep. And I'm someone who won't make as many changes. Although I've quite enjoyed the rolling sub, I'd talk to us about, I guess, in the Wannell competition and stuff. Have we seen the introduction there? Because we've certainly seen it in the Premier League competition in South Australia.
Yeah.
We've even seen it in the Monday night men's league, domestic men's league comp that we play. So we've introduced it there to replicate what happens at Nationals. It makes sense. It actually stops coaches calling injury time to make the changes anyway, and that's what I used to make my players do, still do in the competitions that don't allow it. So
we definitely have the substitution rule here in the WA Netball League, and it's something that we're really excited about. I think it changed the game for us as coaches as well, about how we approach the games, and we have to be really strategic in, if you want to just move everyone up down the court, that's 5 or 6 different changes, but you just have to be able to roll it quickly and seamlessly without too much disruption. So I think of it sometimes in terms of touch football, how they usually sub off on attack. 5 of them come off, 5 of them come back on. I haven't gone that crazy yet in a game myself, although our lovely bench officials give me stern words about the number of changes that I do make in a game.
I know we had the South Australian 17s had a game against Victoria, and we suffered 3 or 4 injuries within a quarter. It was absolute meddling, and our manager didn't sit down. The physio was off. It was absolute chaos. And it's funny because the players actually forgot to call time. They were hobbling off. They were hobbling off. Oh, as we see a contest there, Giretto does very well to keep that in.
And it was allowed to continue as well.
But yeah, the players have almost forgotten they can actually call injury time. They're just so used to the substitutions, and there's that nice triangle connection between Davis and Goggins. That's what I was hoping to see. Between these two. Seen it enough on Monday nights when I'm playing against it, so do it out here, boys. That's good to see.
And just the obstruction call, that's really tough.
As we see.
And May Brown gets a missed shot. So the defender's doing a really good job here. Just got to get that connection through to their front line.
A bit too much on that by Davis. Unfortunately, Giretto can't control it as we see the ball float away few courts away. We'll get it back at some point. How's the excitement been, Mandy? I have to ask about the AMMNA Nationals coming to Perth, because I know in South Australia we thought we were never going to get it. We had 3 delays of COVID, and obviously meant to have it in 2020, eventually got it in 2022, but I feel some people forget Perth were always meant to have it in 2021 and had to wait even longer. So talk to us about the build-up and the frustration.
We have been so excited to host the Australian Men's and Mixed Nationals here in WA. It has been a long time coming, but for obvious reasons, we were fully supportive around when South Australia got given the last Nationals, and we were so excited to finally participate in that last year. And then it was the realisation, wow, we've really got to get this work done. A lot of hours and volunteers, like putting in the hard yards. I didn't have a lot to do in terms of the organisation this year, but that goes to all the thankless people. So, you saw earlier Jerome Gilbert, he is our president, so he's Open Men's player and president, so he wears sort of dual hats, and he's just been under a lot of work and a lot of pressure to not only maintain his training work ethic, but also do a lot to get this tournament off the ground. Now that we finally have it here, though, in Perth, it's actually turning out quite nicely. We're around the corner from the Gold Netball Centre, where we play our regular WA Netball League matches. So we are at Bendat. They do have a 6-court arena, so it is sort of better suited for it, especially with the sheer number of teams that we have here competing this year.
Yeah. I noticed there's even 2 courts out the back there for players to warm up and cool down, and it's a really spacious, nice arena. I know sort of first impressions walking in. People are very happy to be here. It's a bit of a festival of netball for WA. I'm just sort of looking, we've got the AMMNA Nationals here. I know for those involved, and there's a few around the place involved in indoor netball. The Nationals are here in October.
Yes.
For me, involved in sort of the school
sport.
So we've got the 12 and 15 Nationals in Perth.
And then they also are including the boys division for the first time.
They am, and I'm really happy because as we see Ben Slade get a touch there, important intercept and go through. But yeah, I've been coaching the South Australian 15 girls and was very vocal in getting that boys division. I'm not saying I did it myself, but certainly there's been a bit of work behind the scenes to get that, and hopefully we see that progress to a 15s, which would complement our nationals very nicely, because we've still got issues around competitions for boys 13 to 15 when they're not quite at the age as we see that lovely drive, but Davis unfortunately drops that in replays. But yeah, that 13, 14, 15-year-old age group, especially, I sort of look over at sort of the stronger states in those age groups.
And they've got their junior M leagues already established for that age group. Which
is great, and I think Victoria are leading the way there, and I know South Australia are doing some work in that space, but I sort of look at the Victorian 17 team, and a lot of them are sort of 16, 17-year-olds, so at least those who can't make a state team and have something have got a bit of an outlet and a competition to play in. I sort of reflect on our own 17s, South Australia's 17s. We've got a 13-year-old playing and holding his own. We've got a 14-year-old, a couple of 14-year-olds in the team as well. So that at least gives them an opportunity. But there were certainly many others that obviously weren't quite strong enough for the team and sort of don't really have that next level from when they stopped playing when they were 12. So really, really excited to see that. So let the Festival of Perth, netball in Perth, roll on.
And and to continue on with that, at our WA Netball League, we are actually incorporating 3 rapid rounds, so similar to Fast 5, except just rules slightly different. So instead of the double points in the final 5 minutes, in the final couple of minutes, we actually play for 10-minute quarters, and it's the final 3 minutes we get a 3-2-1 opportunity.
Ooh,
It's something slightly different, just to encourage sort of boys and men just to see what it looks like. A lot of the associations here in WA are also doing come and try netball clinics. As a way to give exposure to it.
Fantastic.
And a lot of the guys here at West Coast Thunder are more than happy to provide access to the community by attending these clinics and showcasing why, where they can lead to once they turn 12, 13.
Yeah. So we see a bit of a all going through the crowd there. As Sam Foster gets called for contact, I thought he got around the body of Matt Brown, or he thought he did anyway. But nevertheless, back to the game here. I suppose we'll talk about that at some point. So 67-34. Game, from what I've seen, it's just gotten a bit scrappy here. I feel like there's a bit of confidence maybe being lost. We see...
The West Coast Thunder doing a brilliant job just interfering with the ball when the Dragons have possession. It's not a clean run to the post.
Yeah, and we see Goggins put through a goal for South Australia.
I do want to ask you a question, Mark. So, so when the WA versus South Australia, we also have we have medals after the match.
Yep.
So, can you talk to us about the Ian Corbett medal?
Yeah, so the Ian Corbett medals awarded to the best South Australian player on court. And Ian Corbett was, I believe, our first Open men's coach when sort of the first championships began in the 80s, or South Australia established its first Open men's team. Lovely mid-range shot there by Davis. So yeah, he was also our inaugural Hall of Fame member, or life member, I should say. Which was presented, I think, in about 2018. So certainly SAMMNA in those days still continuing to do, but looked through the history and started awarding sort of life memberships. And so Ian Corbett, the first South Australian Open coach, and I believed he also was the Australian coach, as we see a tight contest on court, but a offside or out of court call there. That's who our medal is named after.
For the West Coast Thunder lads, or Elliot Clark just playing the ball off the post to himself?
That is my favourite move. I get very excited to see that. Probably not excited when it's against me or the team or my home state, but that's very good as we see Goggins all alone at the post and converts an easy one there. Sorry, back to the medal.
And back to the medal. So for West Coast Thunder, we have the Ron Winter medal. So Ron Winter was an Open men's player for a number of years, has been in the men's netball community for, I'm going to say, at least 20 years. Sort of made a return a couple of years ago to the domestic league at the WA Netball League. Yep. And he has just been a source of support and guidance for these young up-and-coming players coming through. And, he's had a lot to do with men's netball here in the West. So that's who our Opens medal is named after.
Fantastic. I see the ball swung there wide across. Davis cutting front. Oh, I feel like Goggins maybe had that front position. He's got it anyway.
Now
Scores.
Here's a tricky question. In your humble opinion, who do you think deserves the Ian Corbett medal? I want you to give the viewers a player who you think they should receive this award.
Yeah, look, I think everyone's been on, haven't they? So it is hard. I feel like you've got to go for the person who's probably battled really well back in defence and, ironically probably one that's been on court the most, and that would be Sam Foster. He's had some little wins down there, which I think is fantastic. Unfortunately, a tough day in defence. Unfortunately, we see the wood feed going astray there. But I would say Sam Foster. Hard to pick because there's been quite a few rotations and hasn't been the best day out of the office for the South Australian boys, but sort of Sammy Foster's got some touches. I know in that sort of those first couple of quarters he was hunting early, so I would say Sammy. And for WA, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, like you said, everyone's taking the court today, so it's really hard to sort of pinpoint and identify sort of an individual based on it's been a full team performance. But a player for me that I think's really done a great job is probably Stuart Burton in wing defence. I think he's just been able to mix up his game from the one-on-one, the zone, and just really win. The ability to win ball and bring the ball back down and transition very quickly has been a credit to this team today, and a reason why they have such a significant scoreline. So for me, he would be the player that I would look at. But, I'm not selecting the medal. I could be completely wrong. Any number of these athletes could be a recipient of these awards, and deservedly so, from the West. So I'm interested to see who it goes to today.
And it's probably a fair call because we see how many, there's been a lot of rotations through a lot of positions for South Australia, but I feel like that wing attack role has been rotated through quite heavily, which means the person's doing their job to force those rotations and those changes. So we're down to approaching the last 90 seconds of the game. It is a commanding lead by Western Australia, 73-39.
And they're well on their way. Again, the breaking at the back, that's to this game. I was just about to say, if the Dragons were to hit 40, that's nothing to be shy, that's not to be looked at badly. That's actually pretty decent considering an offensive contact call against the body, and Foster's down. He's not getting up quickly.
I think he's received a knock to the knee. Did go for the knee. He looks like he's okay to walk that off.
He's a strong lad, isn't he? It takes a lot to knock him down, and we heard the thud up here.
Yeah. I'm just telling that. And again, a bit of sorry, mate. A couple of slaps on the back. Yeah. Not that it was Clark that did it. It was Matt Brown standing out of play. So Slade to Wood. So well done by Giretto to open up that middle channel. Davis into Goggins.
That's a better play. Oh,
Unfortunately, Goggins not finishing there.
overcooked the shot.
Oh,
Oh.
could have seen a collision there.
I thought that,
I think he's called it. He's just. Oh no, there was a contact call by the umpire not in charge. It was just sort of so as the ball flew from one half to the other, the umpire in the back half made that call. Attempted swing ball there. McPherson.
And Elliot McPherson just changes the leg direction so he can get the spacing right. Mid-range.
And a shot.
Great shot. Came down with rain.
As we see our last 20 seconds, Rawlings throwing that one. It's come off a Dragons' hand, so probably our last few plays of the last play of the day here.
And Matty Brown coming out of the circle. McPherson going, where are you going, Matty? You're supposed to go the other way. And he'll have a Elliot snatches the ball out. I'm taking this shot.
As we see our last probably shot of the day.
It'd be funny if you missed. Oh,
and you called it. So we see final results here, 75-39 to Western Australia. Way too strong for the South Australian team.
Yeah, very dominant display by the lads in the West, as they have sort of one hand on the Bingham Cup so far. 2 more matches to come in the 23 and under and 17s divisions later on in the week. But what a great start to their national campaign. They're 3 from 3, day 2. So they come up against the Victorians this evening, later on tonight at 7:45. So that's on the live stream on Court 1. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you tune in for that one. And for the South Australian Dragons, I'm not too sure who they have next.
They've got Queensland tonight, and I know that they're setting their eyes on all games, but certainly they're looking at that one.
They're targeting.
They're targeting that one. They're targeting all games, but yeah, certainly one that'll be a good game to watch as well. So that's later tonight at 7:45.
So thank you very much for joining us here as we bring you coverage courtesy of Clutch TV, and we'll see you straight after this.
Sorry. Oh, God. So the game between South Australia and WA holds significance, the first game of the tournament. We play for the Bruce Bingham Cup, which is awarded to the state in aggregate between us and the 23s that basically win. Bruce Bingham is a former president of both South Australian Men's and Mixed Netball Association and West Coast Men's and Mixed Netball Association, and sadly passed away a few years ago. He was a real sort of pioneer in the men's netball space, and I think he would have been incredibly proud to see where we are, having men, both the SA boys playing with the Thunderbirds and having a great relationship there, and the WA boys. We have the same with West Coast Fever, and hopefully that continues into the future so that all young men have an opportunity to continue to play netball beyond primary school. So there are 2 medals that go to the MVP, one from South Australia and one from WA. I'll present the Glenn Cook medal if you'd like. Do you want to do it, Brian, or do you want me to do it? I'll do it, okay. And the winner is Tom Cross. WA, we play for the Ron Winter Medal. I don't know who won it, and Ron is here to present the award.
Great game today, guys, but so our winner today goes to Jason Hurd. Well done.
if anyone wants to come back, the 23s play tomorrow, and then we'll present the cup tomorrow. Thanks so much. Have a good day.